There was a moment, before you were born, before you had a name, when you knew exactly what you were. You didn't need to ask. You didn't need to search. You were the knowing itself. No edges, no story, just awareness resting in awareness. Still, vast, whole. And then, you agreed to forget. Not because something forced you, because you chose to enter. You didn't come to Earth to recite truth, you came here to feel it, in slow motion, in pressure, in form. But to feel it fully, you had to believe the story. You had to take on the mask. You had to forget the field so you could discover what it feels like to stand apart from it. That's how forgetting became the gate. The moment you entered this realm, you passed through density like light entering water. You slowed down, you condensed, you became localized. And in that localization, you lost the whole. You started to believe your story. You became your name, you held on to your pain, you called your personality me, but forgetting wasn't a flaw, it was the key. Because this realm doesn't teach through knowing, it teaches through experience. You didn't come here to remember ideas, you came here to taste contrast, to touch it, to walk through loss, to sit with confusion, to ache with love. You came here to know light by losing it, to know stillness by hearing only noise, to find your truth not written in books but burned into your bones. And that kind of learning requires immersion. You don't learn to swim by watching the waves, you learn by going under. Forgetting is how consciousness goes under. And you agreed to it, not blindly but boldly, because only through forgetting can remembering become real. Not as concept, as choice. Forgetting isn't something that happened to you, it's something you participated in. Not with words, not with language, but with frequency, with consent. You entered density and with it a kind of spiritual amnesia, because this realm doesn't allow full memory at the start. It can't. If you remembered everything on day one, you wouldn't feel time. You wouldn't feel loss, you wouldn't believe the character, and without belief, the story couldn't teach you anything. So forgetting is the veil between what you are and what you came to explore. And it shows up in more ways than most people realize. It's not just spiritual forgetting, it's forgetting how to trust yourself, forgetting how to sit with stillness, forgetting that love can be safe, forgetting that your worth doesn't have to be proven. This forgetting isn't just mental, it's cellular, emotional, generational. Some of it you absorbed before you could speak, some you inherited, some was taught to you through repetition, through trauma, through systems built by others who also forgot, and it built layer after layer, until the real you got buried beneath the version you needed to survive. That's not failure, that's how consciousness survives in density, because when you forget the source you begin to search for meaning, and in that search, the soul stretches. You try, you hurt, you reach, you fall, you open, you remember, piece by piece. That's the point. Because here, remembering isn't just about accessing some higher truth, it's about who you become in the process of reaching for it. Before we keep going, if this is landing for you so far, like the video so more people find it, and if you want more content like this, hit subscribe. The forgetting wasn't random, it's part of the structure. This realm, Earth, time, identity, is a closed system by design, not locked, not trapped, but sealed, from the outside in. Why? Because if truth could reach in and override your story, there would be no free will, no authenticity, no real learning. You would just be a puppet of memory, reciting wisdom you didn't earn. So the system protects you. It hides the larger field from view, not to deceive you, but to honor your path. Because here, awakening must be chosen, again and again, not because someone told you the answer, but because you felt something real, deep beneath the noise, and followed it. You've already felt this, the pull toward meaning, the sense that something isn't quite right, the moments of quiet where you feel closer to something ancient, even if you can't name it. That's the memory surfacing, not as content, but as recognition. And this is the beautiful paradox: the truth was never outside you, but it also couldn't be handed to you. You had to become still enough to feel what never left. That's why spiritual awakening feels so strange. You don't suddenly gain new truth, you lose the fog that was covering it. And that fog, that forgetting, was necessary, because it made the remembering matter. It gave weight to each moment of clarity. It made your small choices sacred. Even your pain became a teacher. Even your resistance became a map. So no, you're not late. You're not behind. You're waking up exactly when you're ready to carry it. You didn't fall. You entered, and the forgetting was part of your entrance. Not because you were weak, but because you were willing. Willing to let go of what you were, to feel what it's like to become. That's the kind of courage people forget they have. The kind that says, I'll walk into the dark, just to learn what light really means. I'll carry a story, just to see if I can wake up inside it. I'll forget who I am, so I can remember it for real. That's why you came. And no, remembering isn't a lightning bolt. It's a slow, steady unwrapping. It's a moment in the shower, a silence that hits different. A sentence you weren't expecting that makes your whole chest ache. That's how it comes back, not as information but as recognition. And when it does, you don't go back to being who you were before the forgetting. You become someone who chose to remember in the middle of the storm. That's what makes you powerful. Not how much you know, but how much of what you know has been lived. So, if you're feeling the edges soften lately, if you're sensing something old waking up inside you, trust it. You're not broken. You're not too late. You're just at the point in the story where the mask loosens. And you start to remember that you put it on. If this gave you something to feel, like the video so more people see it. And if you want more grounded, no-fluff content like this, hit subscribe. In the next episode, we'll explore the simulation. Not as tech or theory, but as a structure made of memory, emotion, and loops, and how it only holds you when you believe it's real. The content on this channel is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute scientific, philosophical, psychological, or lifestyle advice. Always do your own research when exploring scientific claims or spiritual teachings. This video is a creative synthesis of published theory, observable patterns, and documented history at the time of production.